families that are doing great work, even schools that are doing great work, get actually representation. A lot of times the focus on 12C has been around the controversial elements of it, but we've taken kind of note of what's working really well and tried to kind of aggregate that through this report.
Thanks, Tarun. How's everyone doing on energy?
Good.
Good. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Very loud good morning.
Good
morning. Thank you. Please stay awake. It's a short presentation. So we are here to talk about inclusion in society. What we really need in our minds is some clarity. Be it different genders, ages, castes or creed, all deserve equality of identity. This diverse nation that today is so fragmented, is there a way that it can be mended? जी हाँ है, शिक्षा के अधिकार की धारा 12 वह प्रयास है जिससे समाज जुड़ेगा दोबारा। विद्यालय का प्रांगण है एक प्रयोगशाला जहाँ से होगा देश में उजाला। Let us strive to provide our children an inclusive education, as these bright minds are the future of our nation. So welcome to the launch of Bright Spots 2019. This report focuses on section 12(1)(c) of the RT Act 2009, and this section essentially states that that children from socially and economically disadvantaged backgrounds, a 25% quota will be reserved in private, unaided, non-minority schools in their entry classes. This report is the second version. So we've published a previous version last year, and building off of Bright Spots 2018, this current version is focused on two major aspects. One is the recommendations from the National Education Policy Draft. So NEP का draft अभी हाल ही में निकला है और वो finalize होने वाला है. उस पर हम उसमें जो recommendations और challenges mentioned हैं उनको ध्यान में रखते हुए इस report में पूरी जो बातें की गई हैं वो उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए, और दूसरा है कर्नाटका हाई कोर्ट का एक जजमेंट है जिसमें ये स्टेट किया गया है दैट इट इज़ the High Court had accepted the petition submitted that government schools should be filled in before private schools, before children can apply to private schools. और ये अभी Supreme Court में है, एक special leave petition चल रहा है, and इसकी hearing and results will be out in a few months. So उसके around ये दोनों चीज़ें focused हैं. When we talk of the National Education Policy, जो NEP का draft है, उसमें there are a few things which are highlighted. Focus is mainly on integration in schools. Then they talk about minority institutions and the autonomy of institutes. So अगर आप किसी institution को mandate कर रहे हैं कि वो 25% बच्चों को रखे, so does that affect their autonomy and the way they function? It also focuses on a lot of things, one of which is a common IT-based platform. So having a solution which is online for the entire process. And then they talk of remedial instruction being provided to students, a proper grievance redressal mechanism, and mechanisms to ensure that the judicial exemption, as I was talking about the minority institutes, that doesn't get misused.
So one of the key features that we try to focus in the Bright Spots report, like its name mentions, is the positive deviations that we can see in the implementation of section 12(1)(c). So this is a story that has come from Lucknow. Ali Ahmed, I'll just read this off. Ali Ahmed and Abdullah were admitted in a private school in Uttar Pradesh under 12(1)(c). Both of them managed to achieve first rank in a maths competition and were awarded certificates for the same. And now they are aspiring for more to participate in bigger competitions. Ali Ahmed was also awarded the Student of the Year for topping his class. And his father now aspires that both his children will be able to become IAS officers and serve this country. So like Ali Ahmed and Abdullah, there are 41.3 lakh children currently studying under the quota as of 2018-19. The policy has been implemented. The rules for the policy have been notified in 33 states, the categories of disadvantaged groups and economically weaker sections have been defined in 33 states. Effectively, Telangana is the only state that is yet to notify because Jammu and Kashmir has not notified. It's not, the RT's Act is not extended to J&K yet, and Lakshadweep does not have a private school. So effectively, there are 34 states which this Act is applicable currently. 17 states have notified their per child cost, which is the necessary prerequisite for claiming reimbursements under 12(c). This also shows intent that the states are willing to move forward in that direction. And overall, we see that close to 22.8 lakh seats are available every year under this quota. So this graph kind of shows us the trajectory which 12(c) has undertaken from 2012 onwards. The provision had reached the 30 lakh mark in 2017-18, and in 2018-19, currently 41.3 lakh children are studying under the provision.
We'll just walk you through the life cycle of RT, of the policy, in very brief. So in that, as I think was mentioned in the panel discussion before this as well, the implementation of a policy is extremely important. The idea with which it was implemented, was brought about, was social inclusion and of making sure that we reduce those gaps that exist. But the implementation part of it is where the meat of the matter is and what we need to focus on. So if we look at the life cycle of a policy of Section 12(1)(c) in particular, इसमें हम 7 मेजर एरियाज में इसको डिवाइड करते हैं. सबसे पहला है कि स्कूल्स को रजिस्टर होना होता है. हमारा जो पोर्टल है या ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन जो भी सिस्टम है उसमें स्कूल्स का रजिस्ट्रेशन ज़रूरी है. Applications आना is the second part, which is extremely important. So student registration or applications is the second bit of it. The third bit is a lottery or an allotment mechanism. मतलब बच्चों को स्कूल में कैसे अलॉट किया जाता है, वो नेक्स्ट पार्ट है. स्कूल में अलॉटमेंट होने के बाद जो पूरी एडमिशन्स की प्रक्रिया होती है, राइट. सो एडमिशन्स हो गए बट स्कूल पहुंचा कि नहीं बच्चा, एंड डॉक्यूमेंट्स चेकिंग हुए कि नहीं, वो सारी चीज़ें एडमिशन्स प्रोसेस में आते हैं. देन वी कम टू स्टूडेंट ट्रैकिंग, which is a recommendation from NEP also, and what it entails is ensuring कि जो बच्चा स्कूल पहुंच गया है उसकी पढ़ाई कैसी हो रही है and क्या वो स्कूल आ रहे हैं या नहीं आ रहे हैं, checking some of those things in terms of student tracking. The next bit is to do with reimbursement. Reimbursement is, there's a center state reimbursement जो होता है, सेंटर से स्टेट को कुछ पैसे दिए जाते हैं और स्टेट से स्कूल को पैसे दिए जाते हैं for the same policy. So the beneficiary to state to center, that model of reimbursement. And grievance redressal is something that ties the entire system together, because grievances are extremely important to implement the policy properly. If there are any loopholes in the system, they can be raised only through a grievance redressal mechanism, and those loops can be closed. So for ease of understanding right now, we've just divided it into the stakeholders and who is connected immediately to which part of this process. So 4 major stakeholders hain in this policy. Government is one, the parents or beneficiaries are another, the community or civil society that we talk of is a third, and the fourth is the private schools, right? So in charon mein there are multiple areas where they all of these things are just separated for understanding right now, but they are very interconnected and sabke liye uska relevance hai. They are linked to all of them. So the online MIS system is something that ties all of these in together in the best format. When we talk of civil society, what we've realized is 2 चीज़ें जहाँ पे सिविल सोसाइटी का, या सिविल सोसाइटी से मतलब है जो हमारे NGOs हैं, बाकी के पेरेंट्स हैं, जिनके बच्चे पॉलिसी में पढ़ रहे हो या नहीं, there's other people like us who are just interested in the well-being and welfare of children can be part of this group. उसमें 2 चीज़ें हमने मेजरली पाई है. एक है अवेयरनेस इंक्रीज करना, was extremely important around the policy, क्योंकि जो सीट फिल रेट की हम बात करते हैं कि कितने सीट्स हैं और कितने अभी तक फिल हुए हैं, कितने एप्लीकेशंस आए हैं उसके लिए, there is a big gap in that, right? So awareness is one major thing, and social audits are a second thing. So I think that was also touched upon in the panel before this, that how are we checking that the policy is working? Monitoring and evaluation के mechanisms क्या हैं? So social audit is one of those mechanisms जिससे society can be part of ensuring that जो data आ रहा है वो सही है and what is being stated is actually happening. So that's with the community and civil society. Then we move on to the other groups, and
So school choice being one of the key components that the provision provides for, and is something that the parents also look up to. We carried out a small survey around 1,200 applicants in the 4 states of Delhi, Uttarakhand, Haryana, and Chhattisgarh. Based on that, this was coming in the backdrop of the Karnataka case, where last year there were close to 1.5 lakh seats available. This year it reduced to 17,000 seats. And also there was a dip in 92% of the applications. So definitely we wanted to study that aspect in greater detail. What we could find out was some of the, I'll just highlight a few key points that we were able to identify. Close to 67% of our respondents said that they take 10 to 15 minutes in actually the application process at the center that they apply. They take 10 to 15 minutes, are invested in this process. And additionally, a key factor was that 73% spend this time at probably a cafe. So it's, and only 12% are able to do this by themselves. So this also brings out the question of how enabling environments can be created so that parents or guardians are able to apply, and there is ease of access in that aspect as well. With regards to the question of how the parents base their choice on, what was their source of information, close to 86% of the respondents said that family and friends were their primary source of information. They gathered which school to apply to based on information that they had collected while interacting with their family and friends, and on factors that were the deciders on actually where they applied to. Proximity was a key component, and the perceived notion of quality. There were several markers for quality that were included, and those came out as the key drivers behind what the decisions that, what the factors that the parents base their decision on.
The next topic that we touch upon in the report as well, is about grievance redressal. As I mentioned, for an effective policy implementation, grievance redressal is extremely important, because unless a parent or a beneficiary, and that can be a private school, it can be the nodal officer working on the ground, it can be someone applying, unless they can point out and say that this is a problem and the policy is not functioning effectively because of so and so reason, we will not be able to rectify that loophole or that mistake in the policy. And so we've just mentioned a few must-haves and could-haves in a grievance redressal system as recommendations. It can be an online or offline system. That it's okay if it's an offline and a well-working system, then it can be offline. But the two major aspects which should definitely be there, one is that the responsibility should be mapped out very accurately to the stakeholders. So अगर government department में, अगर education department की बात हो रही है, तो हम बात करते हैं block education officers की, district education officers हैं, फिर school education department आता है. अगर इन तीनों में भी जो responsibility का mapping है, वो बहुत ही clear होना चाहिए, ताकि जो problem आ रही है, समस्या निवारण जो है, ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल इज समस्या निवारण, तो उसमें हम ये कैसे इंश्योर कर सकते हैं कि वो टाइमली मैनर में हो, कि एक अगर प्रॉब्लम आई है वो उसमें कितने दिन लगते हैं किसी भी चीज़ को रिजॉल्व होने में, वो सही टाइम पे हो, एंड अगर नहीं हो रहा है तो उसका एस्केलेशन कैसे हो. सो हाउ डू यू टेक इट टू द नेक्स्ट अथॉरिटी रिक्वायर्ड इफ दैट प्रॉब्लम इज नॉट बीइंग सॉल्व्ड ऑन ग्राउंड. सो दैट दोज आर टू मस्ट हैव्स इन अ ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल पॉलिसी.
Coming to the aspect of reimbursements again has been a very critical component of also private schools claiming that we are not able to implement the policy because of not receiving funds. What we have seen is that close to, 16 states have actually made a claim to the Center for Reimbursements, doing an evaluation from...
That's what technology does to you.
The colors.
Bihar is 100%.
Right, yes.
Because there were no applications, no approvals, and hence 100% approved. You can
Yeah,
track it.
those are the PAB minutes, yes.
No, no, I'm saying
Yeah.
that's what pure statistics does to you.
Exactly.
If you don't look at the other data, Bihar's performance is 100%.
Yeah.
There was no application, no approval. 100%.
They approved whatever they...
This was based on the
No,
minutes.
there is-
Yeah, the 100%...
Based on
It said 0, 0,
Yeah.
0 and then 100% approved.
0 is when a proposal was made and it was entirely rejected, and 100 when proposal was entirely accepted.
Whatever was proposed was accepted in Bihar. Yeah,
Yeah.
years
When
ago.
there's a dash, there's no approval, there's no process.
So they graduated from 0% to 100%.
Yeah, so whatever they asked for, they got. That this is based on the PAB minutes. So that is the best source for us to get that sort of information, because it's not publicly available information about reimbursements.
But in 1920, Bihar has not made a claim as what was there in the PAB
So
minute.
there's the possibly zero admissions, or we don't know because there's no data on that.
This is a wonderful analysis. This is wonderful. In fact, after you through, I'll give a couple of suggestions. You can take it to its logical conclusion. It can be done.
Thank you.
Very good.
So what overall we found that as compared to the first 3 years, so reimbursements can be claimed from 2014-15 onwards, and states have been doing that over the past few years, and more number of states are in the green, suggesting that they have received over 50% of their claims in 2018 and 19 in those cycles. This indicates the fact that states were able to submit proofs that were required, the state reimbursing to the school.
Okay, let me come in here. See, I tell you, there is a NGO in UP,
Right.
run by Samina, I'm forgetting her name.
Right to Work Foundation.
Right to Work. They have developed a software, and that should be replicated throughout the country,
Right.
where digitally you can actually track all these.
Right.
You don't have to collect data.
Yeah.
So for UP, she's done that. Every application that goes is tracked.
Right.
Every reimbursement claim is tracked.
Right.
So if you can do that for just ask her,
Yeah.
and she would be very happy to. And you pivot it throughout the country, push the states into using that software. So the data will be available at one spot.
Right.
And then you will know whether the money is flowing or not. Because most of the schools complain, even now to me, that the money is not coming from the state.
That is actually a recommendation that we've been working with states of Chhattisgarh, especially on actually building a reimbursement. And it's also a recommendation in this.
There is a model that is working.
Right. Yes.
That is working very well.
Yeah.
Just pick it up, ask them if you have a problem, tell me, I'll answer.
Sure.
Just send it to other states, get it moving.
Sure.
This is something very good that you'll be able to do.
Sure. Yeah. So this another indicator for this was, per child costs were not notified, and hence a lot of states were not receiving their claims early on. But now, since 17 states have notified, the reimbursement claims are going through. There is a positive trend, is what we see in the actual reimbursements going through from the center to the state.
The next bit that we talk about is student tracking. So that's a major part of like a implementation cycle of a policy. Is basically saying जो beneficiaries हैं इस policy के intended beneficiaries, क्या उनको वो benefit मिल रहा है या नहीं मिल रहा है? Are they able, like what is happening with them post access? Admission हो गया, उसके बाद क्या हो रहा है? And the section 8 and 9 of the RT Act also talk about monitoring and evaluation.
ऐसा कीजिए, गवर्नमेंट को रिकमेंडेशन मत दीजिए. गवर्नमेंट में बहुत रिकमेंडेशन आती है. आप गवर्नमेंट को ये बताइए ये हो रहा है यहाँ पर. अब आप बाकी जगह भी कर सकते हैं. Then it will happen like this. And let me tell you, with my experience, it is actually happening.
Yeah.
In some states, they are actually able to track.
Yes.
So don't recommend to the government. Government has too many recommendations. I am telling you from the other side. Tell them this is happening. What I am suggesting is replicate.
Yeah.
And it will happen.
Next slide. So this is one example of that. Is what we were showing that छत्तीसगढ़ में हो रहा है, MP में हो रहा है. It's happening in a couple of states. जहाँ पे ये student tracking का bit अभी जैसे छत्तीसगढ़ में we're planning to have a data of all the 2.5 lakh students who have been admitted in this policy from 2010 onwards. That started the data collections happening, and
so I will try and give you a platform.
Yes.
Where secretaries of the state government will come, make a slightly different presentation to impress upon them. This is the problem in various states. This is how it has been solved. This is how you can do it. Don't make it even 15 minutes.
all right.
They know the job. In 10 minutes, you'll be able to drive home a point that it can be done because it is being done.
Right.
Normally क्या होता है, ज्ञान देते हैं, ये होना चाहिए, वो होना चाहिए. पॉलिसी यही कहती है, ये करिए, वो करिए, ऐसे अंग्रेज आके करेगा. आप बताइए ये हो रहा है यहाँ पर. All you have to do go and see. And many people would want to do it. They don't have to time to go into the details of how to do it. If it's done somewhere, they'll be able to replicate it.
Right.
So we did a slightly technical evaluation of the lottery aspect as well. So lottery is where the matching actually happens of applicant choices and the available seats. So a lot of it is not known in the public domain because lottery logics are in most states are not publicly disclosed. So what we based our, we took out 12 algorithms basically to run test cases on and evaluate which can account for greater efficiency and applicant satisfaction. It was primarily based on whether the school was a unit of allocation or the student was the unit of allocation, and whether it was decentralized, centralized, where there was an order preference in the sense that there was a preferred category given a quota was allotted to that preferred category. And what we were able to do, what we were able to find in our test case was that it is necessary to understand the trade-off between equity, efficiency, and administrative ease, and it is necessary to actually contextualize this in the backdrop of the states as well. Because we have to look at historical trends of how many choices are made per applicant in order to understand which lottery algorithm will actually help us get to the minimum number of rounds and maximum allocation of seats. And having said that, centralized and online lotteries have demonstrated the maximum efficiency, both in terms of allocating seats as well as in quicker turnarounds in having reduced number of lottery cycles and reconciliation of data.
And in this, there's 4 or 5 states which are already doing online lotteries, which we can present, sir, as case models of the different kinds of lottery models that they use.
Now what you should do is prepare a model for the country. Have a workshop of all NGOs, every stakeholder in Delhi, call them over, show that model, correct it as per their feedback, and then present it to the government. This is a workable model. Then it will happen. Bahut badhiya, very good.
And yeah, this is just another bright spot story, reflection of something that the MP government had done, where documents का verification जो होता है, वो generally lottery के बाद अगर होता है, तो it's a big hassle for the government and for the beneficiaries, क्योंकि lottery में नाम आ गया, फिर document गलत है, तो rejection हो जाता है. So उसमें they have shifted that to doing it pre-lottery. Yeah.
A lot of it is available online.
Yes.
Lot of verification in some of the states. See, again, I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing, because this is a clear example of nexus of good. So you're picking up good practices from UP, from MP, from Chhattisgarh, and creating a national model where it will work everywhere. And every state will be very happy. But one part, I don't know whether you have it, you must get the private schools also to see this. Because they are also a stakeholder. Let them abuse, let them say government, but listen to them. Because that will add value to what you're saying. Then the model will be acceptable to everyone.
Right. We do some sort of feedback loops from the ground, from private schools as well. Reimbursement is one of their biggest.
हमने बहुत अच्छा सबको बुला के खूब गाली सुननी, जितना सुना सके वो भी खुश हो जाएगा बाद में, सब भड़ास निकाल देगा, उसमें बैठ के आप आओ बात करें आगे क्या निकाल देंगे.
Right. To end, this is just saying that बाकी की चीजें उस रिपोर्ट में है जो आपको अभी मिलेंगी. So please go through that. It's a consolidated effort of a lot of authors and people, blood, sweat, tears, and no sleep. So please go through it. An e-version can also be sent if that's preferred.
What next?
And what next is we're taking these recommendations to the states as you suggested, but we'll do what you suggested just now and get that platform.
Have another round of discussions with you and nothing will happen.
Okay.
Prepare a model.
Yeah.
On the basis of what you've researched, work out a model. This needs to be done. Let there be a debate, very focused debate on the problems that you have in this section, implementation. What are the solutions that states have? No, you have not found out.
Yeah,
You only
states.
discovered it.
Yeah.
You're presenting to them this is happening very successfully. Then hold a national workshop. Call these states to tell the other states that this we are doing and we are facing no problem. So they have managed to sort out one aspect of this problem. The other they are looking up to UP. They can solve it out. So there are process related issues. There will be technology issues. All solutions are available. What you've done is you aggregated and brought a single thing. Don't leave it here. You've done a hard work, lot of blood and sweat, as you say. Take it to its logical conclusion. You'll derive a lot of satisfaction if you are able to change the paradigm.
Right.
But otherwise, it will be just be another report.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So if we could request
Yes.
all of you to quickly release the
Pleasure.
And there was one special thing about this report that I forgot to mention, is that it's printed completely on recycled paper, which is thanks to Cisco for the invaluable contribution to that. So
Take the next step. This looks to be a voluminous and nice report. No, don't send me anything. I want you to. You have to get it happening on the ground.